Happy Tuesday. I'm April Davis with April Davis Creations, and I'm an independent demonstrator in Spring Hill, Kansas. And today is Tuesday, September 9th. I can't believe it's September 9th already. Double checking to make sure I'm live, and I am. So welcome everyone. If you're here live with me, say hello. This is my weekly live to go class that I do on Facebook, and then of course it will be uploaded to YouTube. But just to familiarize yourself, if you're new visiting me, I do my to go classes every week. The class in itself is free. If you want the kit to go with the to go class, then if you place an order in my online store, you can receive that kit for free. So today we are featuring the Gathering Moments stamp set. I'll show you that here in just a second, but I want to switch screens because I've got a couple of little updates that I need to do. I promise I'm going to keep them short because I'm excited about the cards. And also today has been, I know you can't see outside very well, but it's very gloomy. I think it's starting to clear off. I am an avid lover of thunderstorms. I love thunderstorms, not severe storms. I just love thunderstorms. And today has been the perfect day all morning, and it's already 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's just now moving out. But we had rain, and we had that kind of thunder that just rumbles, and it continues to rumble, and then it'll come back and rumble some more. So not cracks of thunder, just rumbles of thunder. So it's been a great day for me to be crafting and getting ready to be with you guys today. All right, let me change the screen. And I'm just going to do a couple of quick updates with you. First off, I just want to remind everybody that the registration for the September Crafting Happiness Club, this is the monthly club that I do. This is open through the 20th of September. And then the kits will, hi, Mom. Good job. So glad to see you today. The kits will ship between the 25th and the 27th of September. But this month, we're featuring the Prairie Grass Stamp Set and the Thoughtful Journey DSP. So you're going to get a half pack of the Thoughtful Journey DSP, a full package of the Greetings for All Mix and Match ephemera pack, which is like this here. You can stamp on your project or you can use your ephemera, and then you're going to also get a full pack of the brushed brass butterflies. So I've got them incorporated as well. It's a beautiful, beautiful set, and I'm excited to share it with you. You'll get all 4 cards times 2. So registration's open through the 20th. I also wanted to remind you that Paper Pumpkin for September, the registration ends tomorrow. But I wanted to just remind you guys that there's a little sneak peek in this particular set. It pairs with the Amber Autumn and Autumn Trees stamp sets. You can see them right here. So I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be so much fun for those of us that make the alternatives. Remember, I've got 3 other very creative demonstrators that partner with me to make an alternative tutorial. So when you register with either of us, myself or the other 3 demonstrators that do this, if you register with them for your Paper Pumpkin, you will get the monthly tutorial for free. So I wanted to point that out because this is really a lot of fun because it's being partnered with some of our stamp sets. All right, I also wanted to chat with you about World Card Making Day. That is coming up on October the 4th. Stampin' Up! Will meet with us for an hour on October the 4th, and they're going to create some amazing cards. And I wanted to show you the cards that they're creating. You get 10 cards that you'll create, plus this gift box that you can organize your cards in. So of course, once you've got your cards created, you can store them there. You're going to be sharing those cards with your friends and family, loved ones. And then as you create more cards, you've got a little gift box or a little organizer to keep your cards in. So you do need to register with Stampin' Up! And in the description for this video is the link to register with Stampin' Up! You register with Stampin' Up!, you get the link to join the World Card Making Day live presentation. And then after that, they have a special gift that they're going to send you. So you have to be registered in order to get the special gift. Additionally, I am going to do a gathering at my house for World Card Making Day. The registration for that is under the description as well. And basically what you'll be able to do is register. I'll make sure I get your kit ordered for you. And then you'll come, we'll watch Stampin' Up! For World Card Making Day on the big screen that I have in my studio, on my computer screen. And I'll have some snacks and it'll just be a fun time for us to get together. So you can register for that. I'll have your kit waiting for you when you come. It's a fun afternoon, late in the afternoon. I think it's from 3 to 4 Central Time. It's at 2 o'clock Mountain Time. And it's only for an hour. So we'll have a lot of fun. So that's what's going on there. All right. Let me move these out of the way. And I am going to share with you the bundle that we're going to be utilizing for today. This is Gathering Moments, and Gathering Moments is a rubber stamp set, or what we call our cling stamp sets. I did share with you, I believe last week, that Stampin' Up! Is going to be discontinuing their cling stamp set, so this is going to be one of the last ones I believe we're going to have. And then of course we've got the dies to go with it. I'm partnering it with this amazing paper. This paper is called Gathering Together Designer Series paper, and it's just gorgeous. I'm going to show you what I'm going to call the A side to start. This has got gold in it. So look at these leaves. There's lots of different leaves, but if I turn it the right way, you can see the gold veins in it. And then of course you've got what we're going to call the B side. So here we've got the B side for the first sheet. We've got the B side for this one. Here are browns, and it looks like Cajun craze and maybe some crushed curry perhaps. But if I tilt it appropriately, you're going to see the gold in that. I just love that. And then this is the B side. Looks for a good background. This is the A side for this one, and let me turn it this way so I can catch the gold. So pretty. I'm just in love with this paper. And then of course you've got the B side, which is darker than this one. So we've got maybe early espresso and maybe basic beige here. Here's some plaid. See the gold flicker? So pretty. And then this is some early espresso, it looks like, with some little dots. More leaves. These have got mushrooms and just some fun leaves and berries. And then the B side to this is more of a basic beige, kind of small plaid, small check. So we're going to partner the cards up today with this paper. And let me share with you the cards that we're going to make. I'm going to move this out of the way. And these are the 3 cards that we're making. We're going to make Expressing Heartfelt Gratitude. We've got another one. I know you can't see it. It goes this way. And what we're going to do is we're going to emboss gold to go with the gold that's in the paper that says Gather. Okay. And then we've got this one where we're using two-tone cardstock that I have embossed on. And then we're going to add some leaves to it, but we're going to distress the cardstock, or the two-tone cardstock. So let me pull this one out first so we can get started. And basically, our first kit includes basic beige for our card base. Here is a piece of that wonderful Designer Series paper with the gold in it. I've got just a small piece of Designer Series paper. It's actually the back side of this one that we're going to use for some interest. I've got a tag, and this tag, I believe, comes from this set called Branching Out. And look at these dies in this stamp set. I love the dies in this stamp set. So there are some stamp sets that have dies that go with the stamps, or exactly. And then there's some that have shapes and things that you can utilize for a lot of other things. So even though we're not using Branching Out today, we are using the dies for today to create our label for our sentiment. So that's where that's coming from. And then I have a piece of scrap that we are going to stamp on. So let's go ahead and get our stamping done first. And all of the stamps that we're using today are the cling stamps. I'm gonna double check. Yep, they're all cling stamps from the stamp set. So I'm not gonna worry about using my Stampin' Pierce mat to give me a little bit of cushion because my stamps already have cushion. So let's go ahead, and the first thing I'm gonna do is bring out my Early Espresso ink, and we're gonna go ahead and we are going to stamp our sentiment. So let me get this inked up, and I can just turn it over and double check, make sure I've got a good connection with my ink, and I'm going to try to get this lined up without you having to stare too much at my head. And we're going to go down. When you're using the cling stamps especially, just go straight up and straight down. Do not rock. The cling stamps are notorious for having these edges, and if you rock or press too hard, you will capture your edge. I was lucky enough, I didn't do that, but I also, when I'm inking up my stamps, I do the tap, tap, tap so that I don't, dig in. So I've got that cleaned off, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this stamp, which are some of the leaves, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this, and you can see this is, and I can't remember exactly what they call it, it's Distinktive stamp, so you can see where some of it's dark and some of it's light. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it makes for distinctive stamping. So when I tap on it, I can stamp straight up, straight down, and you can kind of see the highlighting in it, which makes it really fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a second one. And then we've got that. I'm gonna clean this off, and we are now going to bring in, I guess I'm using my chamois. We're gonna bring in my mini cut and emboss, and we're going to get these die cut. I don't need to die cut that, but I do need to pull out the dies for, do I have the right one? I think I have the right one. Oh yes, it's right here. The dies for this particular one. So let me pull this in. And then I'm going to put my plates in. And I'm still using my mint tape from previously. I save it until it just doesn't work anymore, but I want to hold my die in place. So we're going to do that. Oh, I got it. I'm sorry. I have got this gnat that has been driving me crazy. He's been around all morning, and he's just having so much fun antagonizing me. And he stopped for just a second. I saw him stop, and I got him. So anyway, hopefully he doesn't have any friends. I just saw the one, but he's been driving me nuts. All right, let's get this one. And then we're going to do one more, and then we can start to build this card. All right, let's get this lined up. Whoops. Go this way a little bit. All right, we're going to go with that. And then we'll crank this through. So let me put this down. We'll pull this out of the way. We may need it again. So go ahead and do this. Get that out of the way. I'm going to put my die back just so that I don't misplace it. Save that. Okay, let's bring in all of our pieces. This is a fun, easy card to make. Layering on your cards is so easy to do, and it adds so much. Now, one of the things that I need to do, I want to emboss this, but I don't want to add another layer to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my big cut and emboss, and the reason for that is I'm actually going to emboss the front of my card with my Gathering Leaves 3D embossing folder. So what's going to happen is I'm going to place my card in this way because it is a horizontal card. So I need to be able to get this in. And the thing of it is that, well, let me just bring my cut and emboss in, and I'll share with you my dilemma. I would love to just be able to run it through this way, but the opening here is not big enough, and this is too big to run through that way. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to tuck this up underneath, And then I can go ahead and run it through. So here's my plate. And then we're going to run it through. All I want to do is emboss the front. I don't want to emboss anything else. So here's what I can do. I'm going to crank this through. And it's a little bit tighter than it normally would be because it's got two pieces of cardstock, so to speak. Let me move this out of the way. Get my plates out of the way. All right. And now when I open this up, I have the front of my card embossed. I am going to just take my bone folder and kind of smooth this out a little bit because there was a little bit of a crease because I went behind. But look how pretty that is. And I'm actually going to be putting designer series paper on this side. So I'm not too worried about the fact that, you know, I might have a little bit of a spacing issue here. It's not a big deal. I wanted this part to be able to show. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our designer series paper, and it is cut so that it goes top to bottom. I'm going to take it all the way to the side, and we'll get this adhered. I love embossing as part of the design. So let's go ahead and get this added. It's going to go straight to the edge. If I wanted to, my mushroom's upside down, so maybe what I want to do is I want to turn this around. It hadn't stuck yet. I have my mushroom upside up instead of upside down. So I'm just going to lift this up. My glue is going to give me the opportunity to move this so I get it aligned with the edges. And now that I've got this, now I can start building the rest of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this piece of designer series paper, which happens to be the back side of the piece that I had, and we're just going to center it side to side, top to bottom, just to add a little bit of a focal point. So let's go ahead and get some glue on this one. And I'm going to center it in the middle. I'm going to center it from top to bottom. I'm just eyeing it, but that looks really good. And the next thing that I'm going to do before I put my sentiment on is I'm going to add my leaves. So I'm going to bring in some, oops, one of my leaves decided to go with me. I'm going to bring in my mini dimensionals, and I'm just going to fit them along these leaves. And I've got another gnat. I don't know whether it's the weather or what it is. We've got the, the windows are open, but they have screens on them. But I suppose they could sneak in when we're letting the dog in and out, but they're really frustrating me. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to put one of these down first, and I'm just going to pick the backs off. And we'll place this leaf probably right about here. And then I'm going to take this next one, and I didn't put a dimensional here because I'm actually going to kind of layer this, and I want to be able to layer it so that it lays flat on the current one that I have popped at. So we have to be careful when we're using dimensionals that we're not like creating double deckers, especially when you want them all to be the same layer. So here we're going to get that one down. Okay, and now what I can do is I can take my sentiment, and I'm also going to put layers on my sentiment. So I'm going to grab my big ones, and I think my big ones, where did I put those? They're right here. I actually have run out of, I have more, but I don't want to waste the edging. So tonight, or this afternoon, I'm actually using the edging for my dimensionals. I use every little bit of these dimensionals. Okay, let's put one here. And did I get that? Cut, and is this one cut? This one's cut. And then I think I'm gonna do one more for the middle. I like to have stability with my labels. So we've got these down now, and I'm going to go ahead and pull these off as well. Here we go. There we go. All right, turn this around. And I want it to come up over. I put my leaves out a little bit further than I did on my last one. So I am going to not come out quite so far with my label so that I can cover up those ends. But that looks great. So the next thing I'm gonna do, let me get rid of these little pieces of scrap. I have the Neutrals Adhesive Back Sequins. Now these sequins are retired, but you can use whatever sequins you want. I just loved the colors that were in these. So I am going to use this brass color, and I have plenty, so they will go in the kit. I've got plenty to share with the kit, and let me pull out my take your pick, and we are going to add some of these, and I'm just going to put them on my sentiment label. So let me get this, and we'll put one up here, take one of the smaller ones and put it here, and then I'm going to take another smaller one and I'll put it right down here. Move that out of the way, move these out of the way, and we now have card number 1 complete. And look how pretty that is. Such a pretty, pretty fall card. All right, let's move on to card number 2. Let's see, we're gonna do this one. Okay, so this one, where's the card? This one, yes. So here we've got that. This is the one that goes this way, and we've got the gather that we're going to stamp and emboss. So let me pull out what we've got. We've got Early Espresso. I have my Designer Series paper that we're going to utilize. And then I also use Designer Series paper to die cut this leaf. In the Gathering Moments, you have these big leaves. So you can do just a plain die cut, or you can add the center to it and you can cut out the little holes like I have here. So what I've done is I have turned it over, I centered the middle piece, and then used my mint tape so that I can put these on my die cutting machine and cut these out. And I just leave them on. If I need to take them off, I do. But in the projects that I was creating, I was leaving the centers in. So I went ahead and die cut this for us. But we have another one that we need to stamp and die cut. So let me pull my stuff out. I have 2 acorns that I have stamped and die cut in Early Espresso. I also have 2 acorns because I felt like this Early Espresso went better with the leaves that we had. However, I do have 2 acorns that are stamped in pecan pie. So I was going to ask you guys which ones you thought would fit better for this card. You can see that I use the Early Espresso on my sample card, but would you rather see it with the pecan pie? Let me know if you want me to do the pecan pie. They're already stamped. All I need to do is run them through my die cut, and I've got to run my die cut through anyway. So I'm going to move stuff out of the way so that I can stamp. I'm going to use Cajun Craze, and this paper is Cajun Craze. So we're just going to have a little bit of interest on this paper, but I am going to stamp the sleeve. It's got the veins in it, and so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to get it inked up with the pecan pie. I see a vote for pecan pie. Any other votes? All right, let me get this. And this is a distinctive, all of these stamps are distinctive stamps, so you can see how it's shaded. So let me get this inked up, and then I'm just going to take and I'm going to stamp on this piece of Designer Series paper. It's going to be very subtle. You're not going to see very much of it, but it just kind of adds a little bit to this leaf. There you go. You can see it. All right, let's clean this off. And I'm going to bring out my die, and since I have a vote for, that one's dry. Let's go to, here's my wet one. I have many of these. All right, let's clean this off. And I'm gonna bring in my cut and emboss again, and we're gonna pull out the dies. So we have the acorn die, and we have the leaf die. Is this the right one? Nope, this is not the right one. This is the right one. So we'll go ahead and get these set up. I've got some tape for this one, and then we'll have to run it through a second time for the pecan pie acorns, but we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so let's do that. And then I'm gonna grab another piece of tape, and we will die cut this one, and then we'll do one more pass so we can die cut the second one. All right, and then you know what I do, you guys have seen me do this before, but anytime I have extra pieces, I don't know if I have any extra pieces right now, but anytime I have extra pieces, I take my extra pieces and I keep them in my stamp set. So the next time I get ready to craft, I'll see what pieces I've got that I can utilize, and then I don't necessarily have to die cut additional pieces. So let me bring this in. Bring my plates in. We'll put our leaf down. I'm going to bring this acorn in. We're going to run it through. Make sure it didn't move. And we'll get this started. So we'll pull this one off. I'm going to reposition this one. There we go. And let's get this one lined up. Okay, crank this through. And now we've got this ready to go. Let me move these things out of the way, and we can actually now start building again. So move this, move these. I'm going to bring this back in so that I can make sure that I get my dies put away. So I'll put this one here. We'll pull this one off. What a fun leaf. Can you guys see the detail on it? Let me move it up a little bit. Can you see like the, what do they call that? The veining in it. And then there's just a little bit of detail back behind it from the texture in the DSP. All right, move that out of the way. Let me bring my card back in, and this, we're gonna take our early espresso. And this is gonna be a sideways card, so let me put these off to the side. And we've got one more thing that we need to do, and we need to stamp our gather. Now the good news about this is that this time it is, there's not quite as much color here, a little bit, but this is an open area, so I think we're going to be able to see the gather a lot easier. So I'm going to take my embossing buddy to start, and I'm just going to use my embossing buddy on this just to make sure that I get rid of any extra oils that might have transferred to the designer series paper as I was holding it, because the embossing powder likes to stick to anything that is sticky, and the oils in your hands is sticky. So now I've got my Versamark that we're going to utilize. I'm going to ink up my gather. Make sure I've got plenty of ink on this. And then I'm going to look here. I'm going to pull this down just a little bit. Sorry if my head gets in the way. But I'm going to put my gather right about here, I think. Make sure I get a good transfer on this. And then we will close this up. I'm going to do my chamois really quickly to clean off the stamp before I forget. And then we're going to bring out the gold embossing powder. I don't think I brought my spoon over, so we're going to dip it in and kind of swish it around, I think. Which, it's nice that these containers allow you to do that. So I'm dipping it in, just making sure I get a good coat, and then I'm kind of flicking it off so you guys can see the gather that's there. And it will lighten up as I emboss it. So let's close this up. I've got my embossing gun right here. Oh goodness, hold on, it's tangled up in my paper. All right, here we go. And I can emboss on my glass mat. So let me just heat this up really quickly. You can hear it. I'll get it heated up and then it will go faster. All right, let's see what we can do. I don't know if you guys can see it turn. I just heat it until it turns and then I stop. If you heat too long with it, then it potentially will melt into your paper, especially cardstock. But can you see the gather on there now? Kind of fun. I could have used a label, but it kind of blends in with the gold that's in the veining of the leaves. So, all right. So now we can go ahead and continue to create this card. So let's go ahead and get this glued down. Make sure I've got my card facing the right direction. I don't want to put my designer series paper on upside down. Ask me why I tell you that, because I have done it. All right, so we'll go ahead and get this down. I love using my glue because then I can move this around till I get it centered the way that I want it centered. Okay. There was a tiny bit of warping, not bad, but the glue takes care of it. When you emboss your paper, sometimes it will warp a little bit just from the heat. So now we've got that. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my big leaf and I'm going to center my big leaf so that we can see the gather. And I want to keep it loose. I don't know if you guys can see on this one, but I want to keep it loose. That means that I am just going to be putting glue behind the upper edges of it. I just want some free flow with it. You know, leaves, when they're falling, they kind of float to the ground. And I just don't want this to be set up so that it's just plastered to my paper. I want that free flow. So I've got it set up so that the top of it is glued down. Now I'm going to take my acorns and my leaf and I'm going to add dimensionals to it. So I think with my leaf, whoops, I can go ahead and I'm going to trim off some more of my dimensionals, and we'll put maybe one here, and we'll put another one, let me see where I want it to go, probably right there. I think that's probably good. And then I am actually just going to use little mini dimensionals for my acorns. I'm going to keep the dimensionals in the center so that I can layer my acorns as I'm putting them down. And let's see, that pull the top off of that one. All right, let me do this. I'm going to get the backs off. Back off here, the back off here, and we'll get the backs off of these. Oops, there we go. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll take this leaf and we're going to put it right about here, I think. Figure out which place works best for you, but I'm going to put it right about here. And then I'm going to take my acorns and I'm going to put one acorn over the top of this leaf a little bit. And then I'm going to take the other acorn and I'm just going to layer it right next to it. And again, because I put my dimensionals in the center, I can actually layer over and not hit any dimensionals there. So now we've got that, and then I'm going to take some gold cord, and I think the gold cord is also retired. I've got spools and spools of gold cord, so I am using mine up. You may have some as well, but gold cord will come with the kit. So here we go with that. I've got my little bow, and I'm going to take a glue dot and I am going to put my glue dot, actually I'm going to double it up, so we're going to do two little glue dots right here. I'm going to put them right here where my acorns meet. So I've got just a little knot there, and then I'm going to take the knot of my bow and I'm gonna lay that right over the top. So we've got that. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to bring in these sequins again, and I'm gonna use the gold, and we're going to take a gold and we're gonna put one right here. I'll take a smaller one and I'm gonna put it right here, and then I'll take this one and I'm gonna put it over here. Move these things out of the way. And now we have card number 2. How pretty is that? A little bit of floatiness to it, and the gather here, so pretty. I'm on the road. We'll catch the replay. Okay, Diana, it'll be on YouTube. All right, here we go. Card number 2. Now let's bring in card number 3. So remember, this is what card number 3 looked like. So the first thing I did is I took our 2-tone Cajun Craze Designer Series paper and I ran it through the embossing folder that we utilized for the previous card. Okay, so I've got that. We're going to distress it here in just a second. Then I took the dies that we talked about, and again, it was a different leaf, but I did the exact same thing. I centered the center of it, used my mint tape to hold the center in there, and I'll continue to do that until I need to just take the outer edge out. But I went ahead and I used the Designer Series paper and I cut 3 different leaves for that. Okay, we're going to use a basic beige card base. I've got a piece of scrap for our sentiment, and then I thought, oh, you know what? I was going to stamp and die cut a early espresso acorn, but I'm not going to do that because since we use the pecan pie, I have an extra early espresso pine cone acorn. So we're going to go ahead and use it. And the only thing we're going to need to stamp now, and I'm actually going to emboss it, is I am going to move this out of the way till we get our stamping and embossing done. I'm going to bring the gold back in. This is the perfect time because there's gold in the Designer Series paper to use gold embossing. And I wanted to show you, I believe I'm going to use the label that comes from Traditional Labels. I love this label. So I'm going to use this label from Traditional Labels to cut out my label. And we are going to stamp Thankful For You. And I got to figure out where the Thankful For You came from. I thought, oh, here it is. I just didn't put it on a block, I don't think. Nope, don't have it on a block yet. So let me reach over here and grab a block. And we're going to pick up Thankful For You here. And I'm just going to put it on at an angle so it'll fit on my block better. And we're going to go through the same process again. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my embossing buddy and we're going to get rid of any fingerprints that might cause my sentiment to, might cause my embossing powder to stick to something other than the sentiment. Now I'm looking for my Versamark. So we'll pull this in and Thankful For You. We'll go ahead and get it. I'm going to center it in the strip, but I don't necessarily have to center it side to side because I'm going to put my die cut around it. So we've got that. Let's go ahead and clean this stamp up. Can you guys see the sun starting to peek out? That fun weather has moved on, but boy, it lasted quite a while today. It was nice. All right, so we got that clean. Now I'm going to bring in my gold embossing powder again. And we'll just put our little strip in here. Get it covered. I'm going to cover it again just to make sure I get a good coating on it. And I'm going to show you, I don't know that you guys can see it, but this cotton edge, barely cotton edge, I don't even know if you guys can see it. It's right here. So I'm going to take a paintbrush. I keep brushes here on the side, and I'm just going to take and I'm going to brush that off. The good news is you can do that when you're using embossing powder. If you catch an edge and you're using ink, good luck with that. That's why you don't want to catch the edge if you can help it. All right, did I clean that off? I think I did clean that off. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my heat gun back out again. Let me heat it up. And I'm going to go ahead and get this set. Oops, it's blowing away. Here we go. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to look at it just to double check. You always want to double check to make sure you've got everything melted, because if you don't, your fingers will wipe it away. So I'm going to reach over here. I'm going to grab a piece of tape. That way I can go ahead and get this centered up the way that I want to. And I think this is how I want it to go. It wasn't very straight when I was stamping. So let's go ahead and put this on. Clean this out one last time. And we'll crank it through. And then we can start working on the rest of the card. All right, out of the way. Move these out of the way. Pull this off. And there we go. We have our sentiment. Let me put this, this came out of traditional labels. So let's go ahead and put this up. Look at these fun labels. Anyway, okay, now what I want to do, I'm reaching over here to grab my sanding block, because the next step before we start to put this together, is the current paper pumpkin the one that goes with the bundle and the paper in the current catalog? If so, I don't. Oh, okay. Yes, it is the current paper pumpkin, but you're going to get the current paper pumpkin. So, because you're a subscriber to the current paper pumpkin, Diana, but you'll definitely want to get that bundle, which you may already have some of it. So double check, because I think you ordered Amber Autumn, and Amber Autumn happens to be one of the ones it combines with, and it also combines with the autumn trees. Reach out to me if you've got questions. All right, I have a sanding block, and this is two-tone paper, and so I'm going to take the raised side of the paper, and I'm just going to very lightly sand over the top of it. Now, if you don't have a sanding block, you can use an emery board. So I saved a little bit here. You can use an emery board. You can do the same thing, okay? So not to worry if you don't have a sanding block. When I send the kit, I'm not going to sand this for you. So you're going to be able to do your own sanding. But you can use a big or a little. I have a big sanding block, but sometimes I kind of like using this emery board as well. All right, so got this sanded. This is what I'm going to utilize. I'm going to get the sand off of my glass mat. Excuse me. And now we can start to put this card together. So let's go ahead and put this down. And this is our basic beige. So I'm going to fold this and going to finish that. And then this card is going to be opening from the top. So this is the direction that I want my, do I want my wheat to go up or down? My leaves to go up or down? I think I had them going up, but do leaves normally go down? Huh, hadn't given that much thought. All right, well, I have them going up with one, but I'm gonna have them going down with the other. See which one I like the best. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this down. I'm gonna look at the embossing folder. What does the embossing folder do? The leaves are going up. All right, I'll do the leaves up. All right, so let me go ahead and get this centered on here. Oops, kind of scooching it around to get it centered. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach my leaves. And I'm going to kind of do my leaves like I did the last ones. I'm just going to adhere them from the top. So you can see that there is some flow to the leaves. They're not going to fall off, but I like the idea of leaves having a little bit of freedom to them. It kind of reminds me of them floating to the ground. So I'm going to get this one down first, and I need to make sure that I keep it on the front of the card, that I'm not going off the edges. So we've got this one, and then I'm going to take my green one. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Just get it down on the top, and I can kind of crisscross it here. So we've got the green. I want to make sure that my leaf behind is showing, and then I've got my plaid leaf. So we're going to do the exact same thing again. And this time we're going to crisscross that one, and it's going to come over to this side. Excuse me. So they're going edge to edge. We've got them here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my greeting and I'm going to actually pop it up because I've got 3 layers of designer series paper here. I'm actually only going to put my labels on, or my dimensionals on the end. So let me go ahead and cut up a couple of these again. And let's see, do this one and this one. And I'm just going to do a couple. So we'll do one here, and then I'll bring it in, and I'm going to do another one down just a little bit. And then if I want to, I can go ahead and I can put a little bit of glue just on this end so it will stick to my card. Did I take the backs off? Not yet. So let's get the backs. Did I? No, I didn't. Let's get the backs off of these. Okay. Then I can take my label and I'm going to put it right about here. Okay. And then of course we've got our little acorn that we're going to put down, and I'm going to put it right here. Then we're going to use some brown thread, but I'm going to pop this one up, and again I'm looking to see where I want to pop it up, and this is the edge that needs a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little one right there. Then I can put some glue right along here, not a lot. You can see I'm just putting a tiny bit of glue down there, just enough to hold it in place. And then we'll turn this over and I'm going to fit it in here, right up next so that the dimensional is working. And then I have some thread that is right here. It's from the Earliest Rustling Old Olive Linen Thread Pack. I'm going to take some of it, and I'm going to do a double bow for that. So I'm just going to make sure I've got enough of my linen thread to double up, straighten it out, and then we'll do a bow. Pull it through. Then I'm going to do some adjusting with it. Pull it down. Adjust it. Okay, now I'm going to use my ribbon snips, and I'm just going to cut the ends off like so. Move this out of the way. So we've got this, and I'm going to put this right on top of my acorn little nub, and so it kind of straddles my sentiment. So again, looking for my glue dots. I use my glue dots a lot for my ribbons. And I'm just going to get a little glue dot here. I think one is going to be enough. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. Actually, I'm going to get a second one. And the reason I'm going to do that is I saw that my little topper on this is kind of floating around a little bit. So I want to give it a little bit more of some stability. All right, so now I can go ahead and pop this down. So now I've got my ribbon on here. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out some more of those gold sequins. Let me see, I've got some on this sheet. I have lots of gold sequins. So I've got some on this sheet. Let's go ahead and get these down. So we'll put one here and one here. And then we're going to take a large one and we'll put it over here. Move this out of the way. And we now have card number 3 done. And look how pretty that is. It's very secure, but it's like the leaves are falling. But look how fun that was. All right, bringing them back in. We did card number 3. We have card number 2 that goes this way. Pull these up. I'm going to get these out of the way. And then we have card number 1 that also goes this way. Expressing heartfelt gratitude, gather, thankful for you. Today felt like a fall day this morning, so these were the perfect cards to work with, and they all are from the Gathering Moments stamp set. So let me come back and just say thank you to all of you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the cards. Please do like and subscribe. I'm not only on my Facebook page, but also on my YouTube channel. It helps me to grow this channel so I can share with more of you. And if you are interested in receiving this kit for free, the information can be found at aprildaviscreations.com. Go to classes and clubs, and it will show you what you need to do for the to-go class. It's just placing an order in my online store. Once I get notification for that, then I go ahead and get your kits cut for you, and I'll get them cut. You'll make 2 of each card, so you're going to make 6 cards. 2 of each card. You just need to make sure that you've got the Gathering Moments stamp set in your library, or maybe not. Maybe you've got something that's very similar that you can create the same kind of cards, just using a different stamp set. So anyway, thank you again so much for joining me, and I will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.